Yes, everyone, welcome back to XG Files. I'm going to be serious here today, Ronnie. What are you smiling at?
Can't I smile?
Right then, smile.
That's literally Steve's favourite phrase in the office. Why are you smiling? Like, why not?
I want to talk about Pogba today. I think it's coming to a bit of a crescendo. I reckon United need to know what's going on by November at the latest.
We even said probably earlier initially when it first came out.
Ideally, but like November's got a bit of cut-off because then you've got all of December to start identifying your targets before that January transfer window opens because the waters get muddy then. And then obviously, come January, you can actually talk to other clubs if that's what he's so inclined on doing. So I think United need to know that he's signing or signed by November. And if he's going, we need to know by November so we can start identifying potential targets and that early. And we'll talk about targets and that in a second if he doesn't sign.
What I was going to say though is, what is your general take on that kind of vibe of a player who's pretty much said that their heart is set on leaving the club, but they've still got a bit to play for? You know, sometimes you get put in a doghouse, you might fall out of favour with the manager. But when you're the calibre of player that Paul Pogba is, with the issues that we've got in midfield anyway, with him being by far and away our best midfielder, and that goes without saying, it's not extremely difficult to be that. It kind of puts United in a difficult position, and that's the issue. That's why...
I'm going to get into that in a minute. I'm going to just fill these lot in on the current situation. Here's what the reliable people are saying. So United are pushing to renew Paul Pogba's contract. That comes from Romano.
On the Here We Go podcast yesterday.
Paul Pogba said he's leaning towards signing a new... Oh, Paul Pogba, he didn't say that. He's leaning towards signing a new United contract. That came out last week after the Newcastle game, and that was through Ornstein, who's usually very reliably informed. He wouldn't come out with something on top if he didn't have something in that. Raiola, he said Paul Pogba is out of contract in June, so we'll talk with United and we'll see what happens. Juve, Paul still loves Turin. There is a chance that Pogba will return to Juventus, yes, but it depends on Juventus' plans. There's also been some sort of murmurings that United actually never even offered him a contract last year. They stalled on it because of what was going on with Bruno. Pogba's team stalled on it because of what was happening with Bruno. And I think a lot of us at the time Bruno signed was like, well, there's your Paul Pogba replacement. Whereas actually we've seen that they can definitely play together in a team.
They can definitely coexist.
United are a great position if both of them. I think what we'd all go is if you had a real number 6 and you could play both of them as you like. I see Pogba sort of accidentally saw it against Newcastle a little bit, saw it a little bit against West Ham. He sort of drifts into those De Bruyne crossing sort of zones, and he's got the ability to be able to stick it in the box from there. Especially when you've got like Wan-Bissaka, who's probably not got the ability to be sticking it in the box from wide right. Just on the inside right there, Paul Pogba whip one in. I'm there for that, mate.
Yeah, he's got that hybrid element, Noah, because you're talking about him being in that kind of inside wide area role with his great delivery, his great quality and distribution that he's got on the ball anyway. But he's also equally as good in the box, which probably goes a little bit under the radar. But when Pogba does get in there, he's great in the air, and that's offensively and defensively. So I think you've got the likes of Pogba making late runs into the box, Ronaldo making runs into the box.
More streamlined. Do you want him to stay, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, same.
I've always been on record saying that.
Yeah, same.
You don't listen.
I'm just putting it out there for people because there's been people in the comments that go, "No, get rid of him. If you don't want to stay here, go. Like, get rid of him now. Don't let him make the decision."
I get that point of, as fans, you want players playing for you that are dedicated to the club and they want to be here. When a player's kind of half and half,
just took that in because I think it's rubbing on the mic.
It's kind of half and half. It's a little bit of a ball ache, and obviously we're kind of impact. We've got passionate people when it comes to fandom and that towards your club. You kind of want to see players kind of emanate the same kind of thing.
You do.
So that's
slightly unrealistic, but you still do.
You do.
And the people that become cult heroes are the ones that have usually fed into that, bought into that. Patrice Evra was a big one of those. You know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself was a big one of those. You get people that just become cult heroes of the fan base because of that sort of affinity that they've had to that. It isn't in every player. And I don't think it has necessarily been in Pogba either.
But what it comes down to is United a better team with Pogba in it or with Pogba not in it? And the obvious answer to that is Pogba is one of the best midfielders in the world. He's got some of the best ability and stats in general when you look at the data in Europe. I think when people just look at his game and they expect a lot because of the fact he's got so much talent and ability, and the fact that he can be great one game, not so good the next. But what makes players world class, and I've been on the record saying this quite often, is they've got them moments that they can play in that separate themselves from others. He can win a game for you in a game where you're not very up against. Who else can play that pass that he played to Greenwood against Leeds? Not many people. And there's a lot of instances in his career where he's done things where you're looking at and I'm thinking he's probably the only one in the world that can do that. And it might kind of give the kind of representation that he might be a bit of a luxury player. I think that's what I've described him a lot as his time at United, which sometimes he can be a carrier in some games, but he's someone that you always need on the pitch for those world-class moments that he can create. And that's what playing for a big club like Manchester United is all about. You need players that can kind of light up a game and light up the league, and Paul Pogba is one of them people. Especially when you've seen how he can play for France. People kind of merge the two because he's playing for quality players. He's next to Kante. You've just mentioned that being a number 6. Well, number 6 at the club that's good enough would allow Pogba to play a little bit better in that central area. Because that's what happens when he's playing for France. I think that's the issue.
We've always needed this, though. And whether that was Owen Hargreaves or Michael Carrick, or both. Because Owen Hargreaves was probably the legs for Paul Scholes. Michael Carrick was certainly the positional sort of discipline for Paul Scholes that allowed Paul Scholes, because Paul Scholes, the last 5-6 years of his career, needed... Carrying's the wrong word, because his on-ball ability was still unbelievable and he was still deadly on the ball. But off the ball, remember a game at the Etihad, very close to the end of his reign, where Yaya Toure just ran over him. It was like a freight train. And Scholes looked awful in comparison off the ball. But you put him on the ball, he had that metronomic passing that never really left him. His vision and spatial awareness was unreal. But that's why we had Owen Hargreaves and Michael Carrick to do that dirty work for him.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's not quite the same with Pogba and Bruno, because Pogba still is an absolute athlete in it. He's huge, he's quick. I think people really underestimate how quick the guy is as well. He covers some ground with them big strides.
He's quick with them strides when he gets going. It looks kind of languid when he does run that way. But he actually can, when he gets up a little bit ahead of steam, it's difficult to stop and he gets moving.
So I don't think it's necessarily like you need like a pure Owen Hargreaves or even a pure Kante, which I know is like the go-to sort of default role for everyone. I just think a playmaker that's got the positional discipline to sit there in behind, and you could play a Pogba and Bruno 3 with whoever you want there, as long as it's that someone.
But what we've worked out is, unfortunately at United, Fred is the guy that's seen as that deep lying, for some reason, not playmaker, but the one that the ball does go through. The anchor in it, but Adam says this a lot, Fred's the person that other teams look at, where they set their press. He receives the ball deep and then they set their press on him. So he's not great on the ball in general, but people say he works hard and he breaks up play, and I don't see him being that great at that either.
I think you're wrong. I think he's very, very good at the covering ground. He covers in behind the fullbacks really well, both sides.
I've seen 2 instances so far this season where Fred's extremely slow and laboured on the recovery. He's actually not that quick. He's not that strong either. I remember, was it Livramento against Southampton that brushed him aside?
He has been brushed aside. He's had a couple.
Trincao brushed him aside.
He's also had that game against Traore, but everybody has that game against Traore.
It was Trincao that brushed him aside, though. Yeah, he's like, what, 150 pounds? Winger. Just brushed him aside. I was like, looking at it
Fred's a small guy, though. He's not jacked. He's a little guy.
He's a little guy. Yeah, it's not physically imposing.
The thing is, like, I don't want to turn this into a Fred hate thing.
Yeah.
He is who he is, with the ability and the skill set that he's got. He's the guy that's in that shirt at the moment, and he's not being picked for nothing. You know, he is doing something. His interceptions are actually pretty good in terms of, if you're just looking at raw data, his interceptions and blocks are pretty good. His shooting's awful. Like, he should just be banned from shooting. Him and Andreas Pereira should have no shooting rules written into their contracts. But the rest of what he does, gameplay-wise, ain't terrible, really. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
You know what?
I think this season will progress with McTominay being moved into the de facto number 6.
That is my issue, because we said last season, and it's probably the same this season, we go into every game, sometimes even against lesser teams, where their midfield looks equally as good or stronger than ours. Yeah. We played Villa on the weekend. They probably have a better midfield than we do.
All the comments aren't going to like that.
No. Well, would you say McGinn and Douglas Luiz are better than Fred?
Yes.
Exactly. There we go. Is
But it's
McTominay
because
even
people
better than them
see...
two?
The thing is,
No,
people
it's like-
always go on, well, our better is better. Is Pogba and Bruno better than McGinn? Yeah, unbelievably. But you measure a team by its weakness. And ours is weaker. Fred is nowhere near as good as McGinn. If McGinn was the six in this team, I'd feel a lot more confident. Right then, this episode is sponsored by the good folks at Manscaped. And like I said to you a couple of weeks ago, we're the only podcast in the world that's ever been sponsored by Manscaped. So I feel quite special, Ronnie. I don't know about you. And they are back, and they're here with some football-themed read for us. Check that out. So they've got a masterclass, they reckon, ready for the new season.
I'm ready.
Leaders in men's grooming. Over 2 million men worldwide are shaving their spuds with Manscaped. The 4.0 trimmer, the 4.0, fourth generation of trimmer. And apparently, even Paris Saint-Germain will be jealous of your well-groomed package. Maybe not the right team, but we'll keep it rolling. With the new Performance Package 4.0, which is all of this stuff that you get, you can get that by going to manscaped.com. You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code XG.
Steve, are you talking about shaving your balls?
Am I filming? I'm filming you, Wem.
Oh, sorry.
Where the fuck's he come from?
Hey, are you talking about Manscaped? Let me tell you, Steve. Have you ever...
What are you doing with filming?
I've got a good story to tell you. Have you ever been in the shower in the dark with your razor, just shaving your balls? Have you ever done that? Well, I tell you what, Steve, this thing's got a wee LED, so you can see in the dark when you're in the shower.
Why are you shaving your balls? Why are you here? Why are you shaving your balls in the dark?
It's just like a nice sensual experience, really, to be honest, Steve. But with the 4.0, honestly, Steve, I'm not even cutting my balls in the dark because it's got this ceramic blade, right? And it means I don't cut anything at all. So in the dark, have a nice shave. All right, lads. See you in a bit.
He's definitely pubically, follically challenged, isn't it?
What is going on?
I don't know. Anyway.
Right, listen. If, like Ethan, you'd like to shave your spuds in the dark, in the shower. If I was shower in the dark?
Shower in the dark.
What do you know you're grabbing? Anyway.
That's why you've got the LED light.
Oh, I guess, yeah. But do you... Anyway, no, I'm not. There's too many visuals in my head here. 20% off, free shipping with the code XG20 at manscaped.com. We'll throw a link in the description. Go check it out there. That's 20% off for XG20. Kick some overgrown pubes, some overgrown hairs, and it says grass.
Don't get it twisted.
That's bad. Come on, lads, you're better than that. This season with Manscaped, go check it out. You can get all this lot. They've got Crop Reviver. They've got Ball Toner. Listen.
Ball deodorant.
Ball deodorant. No more stinky balls.
Everything you
That's a
could
good
possibly
thing.
need.
Trust me, that is a good thing. And all right, fair play. It's a pretty good shaver as well. So go check that out at manscaped.com. XG20 is the code. Go get in the mixer.
Exactly. But the topic of the conversation we're on is we're talking about midfielders kind of to complement Pogba in it, which is the problem. Which is a problem because you're thinking a player of that.
26-year-old Matic would have been perfect.
Yeah.
We don't have a 26-year-old Matic.
Because a lot of people talk about Pogba's inability to be reliable in a double pivot. Because sometimes he can get a bit lost defensively. He's a bit more. He's a lot more forward thinking, even though he is.
That's why I'd restrict Bruno a bit because Bruno basically plays as a shadow striker. He is in the shadow of whoever's number 9.
Plays very high.
Bring him back. Have 2 very attacking number 8s, like City did with Silva and De Bruyne. Bring it back like that, and let's have a balance to midfield. A 6, 8, and 10 if you have to, because I think Pogba can be an 8 as long as you've got a real runner as your 6.
Yeah, he can. An 8's where he had a great amount of success for Juventus. It was an 8, but like on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been with like Vidal and Pirlo and all, and Marquisio was in the mixer there too, so it was a hell of a midfield.
Yeah.
In a team that was extremely successful. But yeah, he was given a little bit of freedom in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, go and put a bit of sprinkle of magic on there. And that's how I ended up winning a spot into the FIFA Pro 11. But if you look at the data, his passes, pass completion, assists per match, per 90, goals per 90. He's better on every front than he was at Juventus, in a harder league, in a worse team, and doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
it's because when you're looking at a full scale of a 90 minutes, it's because he has spells where he does give the ball away, he's trying stuff, he might be a little bit slow and languid on the ball, he's taking too many touches.
Maybe an over-reliance on him at United versus...
But I think an over-reliance kind of thing, maybe he feels like he's got to do more when he's on it because of lack of quality in that position. Yeah. And the fact that he's always trying something, it's the same with Pogba, Bruno, when he's giving the ball away a lot. You allow players that are your most creative to give the ball away because they're trying to make things happen. And quite often or not, you do get rewards for it when they actually do create a piece of magic, as we quite often see from both of them.
You think with having the likes of Ronaldo, Varane especially, being a fellow countryman, Sancho arriving, the emergence of Rashford and Greenwood, do you think that's going to be something that can convince a guy to stay?
Of course. You want to... I think Roy Keane mentions it quite a lot when he says, when you're a player at a big club or any club and you see the calibre of players that have walked into the dressing room, it gives everyone a bit of kick up the arse, gives them I want to impress him. I want to kind of raise my level as a result. And you want to be around that many stars. You want to be around players that you feel like can help you win.
Imagine let's play a hypothetical here. Let's say Pogba leaves in the summer and next year United win the league and Varane's going to him on France duty. What'd you go for? He could have been winning this with us. He's going to be wounded, isn't he?
Yeah.
Unless he goes PSG and wins everything, which is doable with that squad.
Yeah.
He could be part of the rebuild at Real Madrid, but something just don't feel right with Barcelona and Real Madrid at the moment in a big way. And I know their financial circumstances are different, but they're linked. But it doesn't. I wouldn't want to be going there in a minute.
No, you wouldn't, especially after Barcelona played Bayern the other day, and it looked like they look.
Forget that. Did you watch them against Granada?
They look light years apart.
Did you watch them against Granada?
No. Scary stuff. How they might.
Not only that. You look at the squad. I haven't got my phone on me. My phone's in there. You look at the 11 they put out. You go, wow. I mean, Busquets still in there, but you're like, wow, this isn't a good team.
Yeah, Busquets is like the lone survivor. I would say Busquets is still one of the best CDMs ever. I think he's slightly still underrated.
I think you're probably right.
But I think he's someone that... I think Busquets might be someone that's still like... The way he plays, he could still play to quite old.
How old is he now? He's in his 30s now, isn't he? He's deep in his 30s.
I think he might be younger than people may think. I think
he's breaking early.
He comes across like he's like 36, 37 now. I think he's only like 33ish, 34. Maybe. Can you find out for me? He's 33. So he's only 33. I knew Busquets was a little bit younger than people may realise.
I thought he was older than that.
I think you should bounce him.
The thing is though, like the likes of Xavi and that, weren't they going to like Saudi Arabia at 33? Two different guys, but...
Yeah. Oh, Iniesta went to Qatar, didn't he?
Yeah. Did Xavi go there at all?
Yes, I think similar.
He went Saudi Arabia, one went Qatar, yeah. So supposedly United will extend his his pog tract. Fucking get
Is
me
that the
cold.
title?
Fucking hell, sorry lads, that was awful. And I'm willing to offer him 470 grand a week, which would make him the highest paid player in Premier League history. Does it? I mean, weren't we paying Sanchez like $250 million? Something was what was reported.
I think it depends. I think like
De Bruyne are on more. Like, City are weird with their salaries.
I think that fact is not on the. You're talking about like the little nuances and intricacies of different salaries. I think that's just talking about base confirmed salary, 470 grand a week.
It's not a bad wage, that, is it?
It's not a bad week. Not a bad week, to be honest. Not a bad week's work.
But when you stack that up, right, if you wanted to replace that guy, you're going to have to find circa that sort of money plus a transfer fee. And who even is Paul Pogba replacement? On the commercial level, on the ability level, does he even exist?
No, but we can't really brush past that in terms of highest paid player in Premier League history. Because then you look at that and think, is Pogba as good as he is, as great as he is, and how much do you like to keep him?
Is he the highest paid player in Premier League history?
Is he the highest paid player in Premier League history?
Weren't we paying Ronaldo more? I thought Ronaldo was $500,000.
Ronaldo's 26 million a year.
So that's $500,000 a week.
Who knows?
People just love to throw this in. Like, the highest blah-de-blah.
Yeah, that's true, because I don't think anyone, as you've said, wages and salaries is actually a bit of a funny one for fans and people to speak about, because we never actually know for sure what these players are earning. Only they do, and the clubs. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can kind of guess, you kind of hear a ballpark figure.
Because I
but you
heard
actually
something
don't know.
like Sterling, and this comes from a pretty good source, that Sterling was on way over 400, like 430 sort of range.
Yeah.
And you go, Jesus. But when you think when he renewed his contract, it was only a couple of years ago, he was being talked about as the third best player in the world. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, he was on fire though, Sterling.
See, De Bruyne supposedly is on 20, which is 400 grand a week, which puts him just above De Gea, which is kind of bonkers. There's no way Sanchez on 400. He might be on 250 sort of range.
That's crazy though. David De Gea is on the.
Yeah, there's no way that Sancho's on more than Lukaku. He's got Grealish on 15 now. What does that work out? That's only like.
See, this is what I mean. Like you've shown us this, Adam. This is all guesswork. It's all ballpark figures because no one actually knows. Because
why have you got that figure? That's what it says on Footy Manager. Well, that must be real.
they can literally come out and say we're giving him 300 grand a week. Just when you hear, because I think they get these reports when they try and speak to lawyers and finance people, try and get inside.
Sometimes it's an ego thing for the player, sometimes it's an ego thing for the agent.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes they'll tell you what the basic is, or they might tell you what the overall package might be. Now, like supposedly Neymar's got some clause in his contract that if he doesn't mention Jesus, like he gets like an extra 500 grand a month.
Sounds like blasphemy to me.
Well, he couldn't say that.
Wait, why is he not allowed to mention Jesus?
I don't know, maybe it's because of who owns PSG. I don't know.
Oh, because it's like, we're Islam.
I don't know.
Well, Jesus.
I don't know, yeah,
is
but
in
supposedly, because, I mean, he wears that like 100% for Jesus headband every now and then, doesn't he? Well, yeah, I was reading something the other day which was like, yeah, as long as he doesn't like promote Jesus, like he gets an extra 500 grand a week bonus. No, sorry, month bonus. And there's all sorts of other clauses in there.
Well,
I cannot confirm or deny whether sniffing his sister's knickers is one of the things that he gets a bonus for. I have my doubts though. He's a weird guy, isn't he? Honestly. So he's only played 50% of the games that Paris Saint-Germain have had while he's been their player.
And Neymar's been fit for most of that. He's actually he's that stage of the club. He just decides when he plays or not. He's one of them where he won't play on a weekend against, like the third worst team in France in the league, and then he won't play like their version of an EFL Cup game, and then they'll have a Champions League game against Bayern, and all of a sudden he's in the starting 11 and fit. Picks when he plays, decides when.
So let's wrap it up then. Do you think Pogba's going to stay?
Yeah.
I think it's the most sensible thing for all. I don't think anybody loses face. I think he gets to say, look at the club that we're turning into, I want to be
Sees
part
the kind
of
of
this.
trajectory in it, yeah.
I don't think, and also I actually don't think there's a million people coming into, Juve do like a free signing, that's their favourite price.
That's why he's mentioned Juve, because
Of course.
there's not when Raiola or
They'll
an
have
agent
just
comes
cleared
out,
off
yeah.
Ronaldo's wage. They're going to be hurting for a superstar, especially how this season
No, but
started.
I'm more looking at the fact that he's only mentioned Juve. When agents come out with this kind of like rhetorical, they come out with that kind of phrase, they will go Real Madrid, Barca.
But he's got Juventus question mark. Is that the journalist putting that? What about Juve? And then he goes, Paul still loves Turin. There's a chance, yeah, could you? But obviously it depends on their plans. Raiola's a creep, right? And he's a weird guy. And he's a guy that...
Good agent though, isn't he?
I guess...
If you're a client.
If you're a client, I guess you get what you want. Although, I think he ballsed it up with Donnarumma. Donnarumma actually wanted to stay at Milan. And I think he just blew it up for him, yeah.
You can imagine him.
He's the nuclear option, isn't he?
Yeah.
But if you're someone like Zlatan, you'd chill with that. What's that, new club every 18 months? Sound.
Travels the world, doesn't he? Zlatan.
So there we go.
In terms of, let's talk Paul Pogba. Does he stay? Does he go? I believe he stays. I want him to stay because I don't want a situation where he goes somewhere else and then he excels. Well, he's 28 now. He's at that stage of his career where...
You're talking your last monster deal. He's going to sign a 4-year now. Probably on that. 475
a life setup.
Yeah, because I'm sure he was all right for the rent previously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon this is your big payday. And that's what Raiola's probably saying to him. Look, if you go to Juve...
It's also Raiola's big payday as well.
Yeah, they'll probably match that. Well, he's not going to get a transfer fee this time, but he'll probably get some sort of signing on bonus with whoever. So I think this is what it's going to come down to.
That's the added element.
Who's his options?
If he goes,
and can he stay?
You do know that if he goes, when players go somewhere for free, when their contract expires, they get an extra kind of almost signing on fee bonus for the fact that they're not attached.
They'll probably get a higher signing on fee than they would have normally because there's no fee to pay. But you know there's your fee, $500,000 a week, 26 mil a year. So he basically is 100 million. He's about to sign probably a £100 million United contract.
That's crazy. The reason why I did say that because I heard something about if Mbappe went to Real Madrid for free, he would get like a signing on fee of like 20 plus mil just bank there.
He probably would as well because there's definitely a sell-on fee with Mbappe.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do a 4-year contract now at 32, you might get 20, 30 million, maybe if he's been mint, but like probably not at the end of this contract. There's probably not going to be too much. Anyway, that's what I think. That's what he thinks. That's not what you think in the comments. I agree with Ronaldo. We are not better without him, and I think it's the sensiblest option is to give him a decent contract because when you add up what the replacement would cost, one, the Glazers ain't going to throw in 130, 140 million for whoever that next superstar midfielder is. Two, I don't even know who that is. Who comes in and betters Pogba's numbers for United? That's available. That wants to. No one.
Sal Niguez.
I told you it was shit.
But as you heard it here first, he said he's the sensiblest option.
Fuck me. Right, subscribe and also make sure to go and check out the link in the description for Manscaped who've kindly sponsored today's episode. That's manscaped.com with the code XG20, 20% off and free shipping. Sort your nuts out, you scruff. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.